Welcome everyone to the Howl Podcast, where we feature guests from various backgrounds with captivating stories to tell. And our goal is to bring people together by sharing diverse perspectives and experiences, while also empowering and amplifying underrepresented voices to inspire positive change in the world. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Howl and Gale Entertainment, and also give us a like on Spotify at the Howl Podcast. And I'm your host today, Juan Raimundo Ramos, and our next guest for the Howl is Jennielyn Abrot, owner of Jar Entertainment, worked as a development executive and creative executive for management and film financing and production companies. She has worked on several films with star-studded casts including Lovelace, Solitary Man, Death and Life of Bobby Z, and so on. She is also a breast cancer survivor and named Crucial Catch Captain in 2020 by the NFL LA Rams for their campaign to raise awareness and fight cancer. And now she's currently the director of the FilAmCreative Film Festival that's coming up in November 2023. And we're excited to hear and learn more about Jennielyn's journey, as well as her role as the director of the FilAmCreative Film Festival coming up on November. And without further ado, please welcome Jennielyn Abrot. Welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me. I said welcome, but it's thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for being a part of the show, and we're super excited to promote the upcoming festival, FilAmCreative Film Festival, and it's the festival's first year, right?
Yes, it's the festival's first year by ourselves. I think we did one last year, but very small, but that was in conjunction with another festival. But this is this is our inaugural FilAmCreative Film Festival. And it's, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, possibly the largest Filipino film festival in LA.
Yes, and I'm super excited to be there and invite my family, friends. I'll invite the whole Philippines to go to the festival. And yeah, that seems very exciting. And we'll talk more about the festival later on. But for the audiences of the Howl who don't know much about you and your journey, just tell a little bit about yourself and also your background.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I've always been involved in the performing arts since I was very little. I was always on stage and doing speeches and drama. That was my first big thing, was drama. And then when I went to CalArts for theater, that all changed, and I fell in love with filmmaking, seeing all the film students with camera, and I wanted to be behind the camera. So I studied film media studies instead. I went to Occidental College. And after that, I worked in music videos. And then I worked for a big producer. And then I became a film exec on that company. And yeah, and then now that I have my own Jar Entertainment, it's a management and production company.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. And talk a little bit more about Jar Productions and what they stand for, and also what kind of projects they do, I guess, over the years. When did you guys start?
So we actually started right around it was right after, I think it was 2021. So it was just a couple of years ago. And it really is the idea of supporting AAPIs, especially Filipinos in the industry. So we produced, we started with short films, and we've financed them ourselves, and we've sort of identified the filmmakers that we wanted to invest on, and we did that. Our first ones were a film called Breakdown, written and directed by Han Huang, and he's amazing. We have Michelle Hebert, who's a celebrity fashion designer who designed the dresses for us, and we had Alexander Nikishin, who's done who's DP'd a lot of amazing music videos and projects, did a DP on that, and that was great. And we got into several film festivals on that. And then next up was helping co-finance a project that's shot in the Philippines. It's not out yet, but it will be. But that was directed by a dear friend of mine, Edel Mundo, who was our representative at Cannes last year. She was Cannes Latier last year. And that's produced by Pamela Reyes, who produced Birdshot, which was which was the very first Netflix movie, Filipino movie. And it was also our official entry to the Academy Awards back in 2018. So that one is pretty special. We used high-tech technology set in the sort of very raw background. So that's interesting, sort of dichotomy. And then we just finished another short film called Unsad, written by Mark Labella and then produced by Romeo Alapate. And that we're very excited for that as well. And then our next films, we're sort of developing our feature films now. I think I'm gonna go back to my roots in feature films. So that's, I think when I started in the film industry and as a film executive around that time, there were hardly any Filipinos around me, even AAPI. So I told myself, okay, someday I really do want to work with Filipinos in the industry. I want to meet those Filipinos in the industry and also help mentor or support Filipino filmmakers. So now, it's this. And when Mark Labella asked me to be director of FilAmCreative Film Festival, the very first one, I first said no in the beginning because I was like, I don't have time for that. That's a lot of work. But then, of course, Marcus asked me again, as well as one of the board members. And I really thought about the people who submitted their work and what I said to myself, when I started in this industry and thought, okay, well, maybe this is what I asked for in the very beginning. And, so I should do this. And so now I'm doing it. And we had a successful launch party, over almost 300 guests. We partnered with Burns and Sawyers for a film grant. And we're very excited. We have Occidental College, who is sponsoring us. Their beautiful 800-seater theater, Thorn Hall, and their Troy Auditorium, and also Oxy Arts building. They're sponsoring all of that for us. So we've been pretty lucky in getting support. Our lunch party was also sponsored by Seafood City. So it feels like everything is just sort of falling into place. So we're really excited about this festival. We've got amazing jurors and we've got a lot of exciting announcements. We're so excited.
Yes, very excited to be there and also to see and witness all the films that are involved in the festival. And also, I gotta say, like the way, you're doing JAR Productions and also FilAmCreative Film Festival, that's just such an amazing thing that you're tackling multiple things at once. And Unsaid, directed by Romeo Apalit. That looks like such an amazing project. Just having seen the behind the scenes, etc., and also being, I guess, sort of a part of it too.
That was also DP'd by Carlos Mendoza, Carlos Mendoza is one of the most sought after DP in the Philippines. So we were very fortunate that he was available. He was actually the DP that we were going to work with for the film we shot in the Philippines, but then he wasn't available then. So So it's great that it worked out the second time around.
Yes, absolutely. Very talented DP for sure. And it just looks like you're tackling multiple things, and you've also had a diverse career, worked as a development executive and also a creative executive, etc. And now as a film festival director, like what inspired you to kind of pursue like these different aspects of the industry?
Well, I've always, since I was little, I've always been involved in performing arts, in arts in general. My brother was an artist too, so my parents from the start, they've always supported us in the arts. I think they felt that there was some talent there. I was always in the performing arts. My brother was the artist. My brother went on to graduating from Rhode Island School of Design for illustration. And for me, it was always, everybody around me when I was little thought I was always going to end up in performing arts. But then, so I think there was always this drive of being in that creative space because I was always exposed to that since I was little. My sister too, she's a painter. So it's always been, it never left like that, even though when I had a daughter, I took a few years break from the film industry because it was just I used to travel a lot for production and live out of state for when we were filming. But then you always want to crave it, as you know, right? Like no matter if it's kind of like you can't get away from it. It's like a magnet that like soups you back in. But I also like to work with creative people because you learn from them all the time. I love learning. I love working with different, diverse personalities and diverse people and diverse just background of people. And with around artists, there's never a one way of doing things. There's so many ways of doing things. When people ask me, like, how do you succeed in the film industry? There's really no one way. It's, when an opportunity knocks on your door, you better be ready for it. Really, that's the formula of success in this industry because, it's a tough industry. So what inspires me doing all of this is, again, like the idea that someday, I always think about my daughter. So the idea someday that, I'll make her proud and that I've done something that could make a difference somehow. And it's hard because, it's not like we're curing cancer, right? But at the same time, I think, we're uplifting people in ways that it's like very inspiring that like people can escape from their problems or anything else and just sort of focus on the beauty of life. And I think art allows beauty to shine, right? In many ways. So it gives us joy. And this is a tough world as is. So any joy that we can give to people in any way actually do make life better for them. And may not be curing cancer, but like I think in some ways it's almost the same. You're helping people and giving them joy in some way, in any form, and even just inspiring people. That's kind of like satisfying to know that.
Yes, and I gotta say, you're doing so much for the community, and we all appreciate and love you for that. And I definitely do agree that the film industry is very brutal in multiple ways, right? There's also not one way to either succeed, and because there's so many different diverse people, and you can all learn from like all these individuals in the industry. There's so many, people in the industry who, experience different things, right? Like they start from like multiple backgrounds, they go to different film schools, etc. There's so many things to learn from these individuals. But on top of what you said, like tackling these multiple roles, right? You're not only an accomplished professional, but you're also a breast cancer survivor. And that's such an amazing thing. And can you, if you don't mind, sharing your journey and also how it has shaped your perspective on life and also your work in the industry as well?
In our family, we've never had anybody with cancer, like anybody. We have a big, my cousins and everyone, like, so, especially just young. So it was really a shock to everybody because I was young too. It was very, I'm still young for somebody who has to, compared to others who's had breast cancers. So it wasn't even in anybody's sort of like mind, right? So when that happened, when I found out, it was disbelief for everyone. It was a shock. It was almost like we didn't know how to react because it's like, what, like cancer? And I was actually stage 4. So it was, and I had, my daughter was still young. So I think for me, I went into like a survival mode. Like I didn't even have time to be depressed or anything. I was fortunate that I had a good job and I had health insurance and I was able to pick the doctors that I wanted. And, I called and I was lucky to have the best doctors in Cedars-Sinai. And they took me right in, and it was a very fast process. But again, like I didn't even have time to think about, being depressed or anything because it was like you got to get chemo ASAP. Like at that point, it's like you have to get chemo. And so I only asked for like a couple of days to go to Legoland before we started. And then after that, and, you just have to I had to go in through survival mode. And so, but chemo was tough. I mean, I was still working while I was going through chemo full time because I didn't want to feel any different. And also I'm a workaholic. So if I don't work, I'm, I wanted to feel as normal as possible. So I wanted to show my daughter that like this too will pass kind of attitude. So I used all my strength, mentally, physically, possible to do normal things in life until I wasn't able to because it was, my body just couldn't, it was very frail at that time. So I think it didn't really hit me until I lost all my hair, my eyebrows, my lashes, my, just everything. And that's when I finally broke down because I, just visually, you see it. And at that time you realize that like you forget the little things in life that we take advantage of, like even just the little silly thing is like having lashes or having eyebrows, having hair, right? So we don't really appreciate that on a daily basis. But when you've lost it, then your life just becomes, your perspective changes dramatically. Because then you start to appreciate and the little things that you can do. And on chemo, I couldn't do a lot of things. I couldn't eat a lot of things. I couldn't be anywhere, So again, those little things are taken away from you, those normal things that you do in your life and the normal things that you have, are taken away from you. And that was difficult. And, just even spending time with Peanut and when I was really weak, I couldn't do that. And I would always, spend time with her. So, but then, being Filipina and being raised by really strong Filipina women around me, like my mom, my aunts, my cousins, we're all very close. I mean, they're just really strong women, and I think a lot of Filipinas have this sort of mentality of like, you need to just, you know, do what you can. And so they were there along the way, and I was very fortunate to have my family there, honestly. Like every day, I had family members calling me, visiting me, and not didn't make me feel like a victim, but like reminds me that this too will pass kind of thing. And they laughed with me, maybe made fun of not having hair. Like they were like, you know, we were cracking jokes and just making, you know, humor out of the situation. But I think the hardest thing for me was like the surgeries, and the recoveries, the radiation and all of that, because after chemo, a lot of things still have to happen. So people think sometimes it's the chemo is the hardest, but actually it's not. It's, you know, it's the surgeries and, you know, you get infections to the surgery. So you go back, you know, so it's like a never ending pain and never, but I think, you know, this year is finally the time where I actually start feeling normal again. So, so it's great, and kind of symbolism to getting my hair back and everything. So I think, again, like what changes my perspective is to be grateful of the little things in life, because that can be easily taken away from you. And sometimes we worry about the things that, like, we shouldn't honestly worry about. And also, you know, just believe that when things get rough, that it will get better.
Wow. I'm just starting to sink all that in, because what a story, Jennielyn. And I gotta say that you are such a strong and amazing person, and you have so much to offer in the world. And I'm super happy that we met and that you're here living this life. And I definitely do agree when you said that there's many little things and even things that we don't, I guess, pay attention to, even though we should be paying more attention to those things, and also taking things for granted because, you know, like you said, things can just go like that, right? And can just be taken away. And thank you so much for sharing all those, because as someone who, you know, have known people who has dealt with cancer, and also including my grandmother, I know what the whole process can be like and how difficult it can be. So definitely thank you so much for sharing that, Jennielyn, and it warms my heart. Okay, so segueing into the next topic, which is the event that's coming up in November. FilAmCreative Film Festival. So that should be such an exciting event, and many different talents, actors, filmmakers, etc. will be attending. So what can audiences expect from this year's festival?
People can expect from this festival is a sense of community, to know that, you know, we're here as Filipinos, that we support each other, and that we're here to give a platform to your voices, as you know, and again that sense of community, right? Very family feel, but supporting each other and knowing that there are other creatives around you and that are similar interests. What to expect are amazing films. There are a lot of talented people who submitted. We're actually having a hard time right now narrowing it down to our official selections. What to expect are entertainment, lots of laughter, and maybe tears from the movies. we have special features and special presentations, special guests, what to expect are just amazing programming, great programming, fulfilling, meaningful programming, uplifting, and hopefully inspiring. Because inspiration, I think I've said this in my speech, is truly magical. It multiplies, and that's what we want to do. We want to multiply us. We want to normalize seeing us on screen and off screen and on stage. So that's what we're going to expect, and we're very, very excited. Very excited.
Yes, very exciting stuff. And I'm super excited to see all of those films and also the music videos that are going to be shown as well. And I wanted to ask as well, given that you are tackling multiple things, such as, being an owner of JAR Productions, etc. Like, what inspired you the most to take on the role as director? Because, like you said, that is such a huge responsibility, right?
Yeah. I actually, as I mentioned, I declined it at first when it was sort of like, do you want to do this? And I said, nope. My inspiration for it was that promise that I made myself when I started in the film industry. So I told myself it would be cool, like if someday, I can be in a community of Filipino someday. Hopefully that will happen. So I remembered all of that, and maybe it manifested, and now it's this, and I also thought about the people who submitted their films, and I was like, that's so exciting because we had a lot of people submit their films. I was like, that's really exciting. They actually, they're very excited about this festival. So I said, okay, I'll do my best. And so yeah, I think that's my inspiration. My inspiration was those people. First was the promise that I made myself that one night. And then secondly, the people who submitted, because they were very eager. And there's just so much excitement. And then, again, I always think about my daughter, Peanut, and how I can make her proud. So those are the three things. I also said, it's only going to be 3 months. Might as well, right? It's going to go by really fast. So
absolutely, it's going to go by really fast, but it's going to be so worth it. And the event is going to be exciting. And like I said, I'm just super excited. Yeah,
it's definitely going to have a lasting effect. It's pretty historical. So I'm very honored to be part of that history. I also like working alongside our executive director, Mark Labella. I think he's an amazing human being. He's just a really good person, a really great leader, and he does so much for the community. And so I couldn't say no to him, at least not the second time. But yeah, he's such a good guy. And so.
Yes. Shout out to Mark Labella. If you're listening to this, we love you, Mark. Yes. And as the festival director, what do you hope, I guess, the attendees and filmmakers take away from the film festival experience of the FilAmCreative Film Festival?
Again, we want people to be inspired, because when they're inspired, they create things that, when people are inspired, they naturally do or create things that are also inspiring. And then, other people will see that. And again, that sense of like inspiration multiplies, because we want to normalize seeing Filipinos on screen. So the key takeaway, I feel that I would love for them to get from this is, again, there's that sense of community, knowing that we're here for everyone, knowing that there's this community who will support the arts, knowing that our message about us and about our culture can be told, and can be expressed in a safe way. I think I've said it. I think I've been saying it, which is that, to inspire, to create products that can inspire other people, to know that there's a platform and that there's a sense of community where they can always go to if they need anything or they need advice with filmmaking. Because again, this is I can't even emphasize how tough this industry is. I've been in this for a long time. It's a very tough industry. I describe it as the Olympics of the arts. Yeah. So we need as much support and a strong community if we want to represent, and if we want to normalize seeing us on screen.
Yes. And speaking of support, I guess, how can more people get involved with either the festival or, I guess, the organization as a whole? Like, how can people get involved in supporting the festival's mission as well?
You can get involved by, checking out our website, FilAmCreative.com, although I think it's kind of under construction or they're fixing it. But the sort of main mission statements are there. It will tell you how to be involved. We're always looking for sponsorships and donations, obviously, and just any support that we can get as well. We welcome volunteers. We always have great events. We are doing an event with Catherine Bernardo and Dolly De Leon on October 5th. So we're very excited about that. But prior to that, we've had producers panel, we've had actors panel, we've had screening at Warner Brothers. So we've been having all these amazing sold out events, and really just because of sponsorships. A lot of them are would not be possible without sponsorship. So that's that's what we could really use help on, so that we can continue doing what we do best, to uplift our community, to create and to strengthen our community. I wouldn't say create, but to strengthen and to also elevate that sort of the networking events, and the experience, to elevate the experience. So yeah, and you can always go to our social media. The film festival social media is FAC Film Festival, and then the general FilAmCreative social media is at FilAmCreative, and we are a nonprofit organization based in California, and our mission statement is to uplift AAPI and Filipinos in media and the arts.
Yes, love that mission statement. And also, I heard that there's a grant for the FilAmCreative Festival with Burns and Sawyer in collaboration. So I guess talk a little bit about the grant and how people can, apply for the grant as well.
Yeah. So the Burns and Sawyer and FilAmCreative grant is a grant for screenwriters. People can submit. You can submit your script that is 15 pages or less, and the winner will get $4,000 worth of rental of camera lenses and camera gear package, including camera, lenses, and gears. And, you know, Burns and Sawyer have have amazing equipment and service. Marie Acevedo, who is the first CEO and owner of Burns and Sawyer, I think they've been around for 60 years. She's the first woman CEO and first diverse woman of color CEO. And her mission is also to help and to support AAPI, specifically Filipino filmmakers. And so that's the grant. The grant is, you have all these access to these amazing cameras. I mean, these cameras are worth like, $500,000, some of them, and with these lenses, and so she's sort of giving the filmmakers access to that. So that's the grant, and so it's if you have a script that's 15 pages or less, you can apply. You can go to filmfreeway.com/FilAmCreative Film Festival.
Yes, absolutely. And all the information's there. And we want to give a shout out to Marie. If you're also listening to this, we love you. You're the best. And thank you so much to Marie for giving, giving us an opportunity to apply for this grant and also have access to these amazing cameras. And by the way, these cameras are top notch. I gotta say. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you've seen the one that we use for on set. Yeah.
Yes.
That 35. Yeah. No,
yes.
I think for Marie, it's, giving people access and opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you need access and opportunity to succeed in this industry. So it's amazing that she's so generous, and you can really feel her love for the community, for supporting filmmakers.
And that's what I like to see. I really love seeing like all these fellow Filipino communities helping each other, and also other organizations such as Burns and Sawyer as well. And definitely check out their website if you haven't. If you want to check out like cameras, stuff like that, gear rentals, check out Burns and Sawyer, and also on social media. So yes, I guess last question regarding the festival is your hopes for the future. What are your hopes for FilAmCreative Film Festival moving forward, I guess, over the years?
Over the years is to see it grow, and to see, to continue to see amazing films that not only are, technically great, but also, are meaningful and says something about our culture, Filipino culture, that, people will, like, who are not Filipinos, who will understand our culture, who will appreciate our culture, and that, to know that we're not just nurses, and we're not, we're not, to break away from the cliches and see the amazing things that we can do, because there's so many talented Filipinos. There's so many. Especially singers, right? I don't think I've ever met. I don't think I've ever been in a room where there's like no amazing singer, right? So I think there's so many talented people, and hopefully when it grow, my hope for that, for the festivals, for us to see it grow in size, and also, in heart. Like I want to see that sort of sense of really like that community, the idea of people really want to help each other and want and root for each other. So that's really the hope there, to see it visually expand, but also to create allies too, from other races, from diverse backgrounds.
Yes, that warms my heart very much. Thank you so much for sharing. And I am really excited for the future of the festival. And I believe that over the years, it's going to be even more successful, and then more amazing stories will be shown to the public. And I got to say, I'm super excited already. I can't wait for November.
It's really pretty exciting. It's really exciting, and it's historic. And yeah, it'll be amazing.
It's going to be amazing for sure. Yeah. All right. I guess we are very close to time, so I would like to give the floor to you. Any sort of message you'd like to say to the audience, whether it's people who want to support you, JAR Productions, your films, and also FilAmCreative Film Festival. What would you like to say to the audience?
I want to say for the filmmakers and artists in general, to never, I mean, I know this is cliche, but like, if you really love what you do and it gives you joy, you keep going. And don't, I know it's hard, but don't think about fame or any of that, because honestly, the most important thing is that, you're giving people around you joy. And if your talent can do that, it will lead you to places that you will just lead you to the right places. And always work with good people. That's very important. When you work with good people, things are always easier, because being in production and, like life in general is hard enough. You hear the news all the time. There's always something that, that can be toxic in our lives. So, but when you work with good people, life is just easier. And no matter how hard life gets, you know that, people have your back. And I think that's, all my years of working in this industry, that's the biggest lessons I've had. And sometimes I had to learn things the hard way. But ultimately, it's being around good people and really focus on the things that you love doing, and honing in your talent, but not worry about, fame or any of that. Just do it from the heart.
Yes, do it from the heart for sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I gotta say, Jen, it's been such an amazing episode. Thank you so much for sharing and opening also about being a breast cancer survivor, and also about the festival as well. We're very excited to witness amazing Filipino filmmakers and Filipino films be shown to that festival. So everyone who's listening to this, mark your dates. First week of November, be there.
November 3rd to 5th.
November
Can't wait
3rd
to
to
see
5th.
you guys. Be there.
Yes, absolutely be there. Last things last, where can people find you as far as social media is concerned? Like, give yourself a shout out.
I would just say FilAmCreative Film Festival, so FAC Film Festival. My social media is on private. So, but yeah, I would say follow FilAmCreative or Filam or FAC Film Festival. That's where you're gonna find me.
Yes, and also all the information regarding festival or the film festival will be there as well. So please go ahead and give that channel a follow. And anything else you'd like to shout out? Upcoming projects, certain people, etc.
Upcoming projects, Unsaid is coming up. We also did an original song. And you're going to appreciate this because Razek composed it and performed by Kenneth Lorente and Elijah Serrano, and it is amazing. So we're very excited for that. We're very excited for its release. It's so beautiful. I can't. It's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful.
Absolutely amazing. And by the way, shout out to Rasik, Mark, Elisha, and Kenneth. Very amazing musicians and talented people. And yes, Jen, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. I know we've been wanting to do this for so long, and we're glad to be able to promote the festival and also your production company. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.